Unique, New York. Sally says check 1 2 check 1 check. Hey guys, I release videos every Saturday morning and I would love it if you subscribed. Hold on. Before you X out of this video because of that disclaimer, or because you're already irritated with me, I just want to encourage you not to hate what I'm about to say without first listening to the totality of what I'm about to say. I promise that after you have listened from beginning to end, you have total permission to hate my guts and never watch me again. That seems fair, right? All right, here we go. So I did a little bit of research to figure out what were some of the most frequently asked questions on the internet. Clearly there were a lot. However, why am I ugly was not only one of the more frequently asked questions, but it also stuck out to me because it was different from all the other ones. How do I blank, or why do I feel blank, or why do I have blank generally, with good counsel and a step-by-step format, can be factually answered, thus leading the seeker of these questions to gradual healing or resolution of these questions. But unlike those questions, why am I ugly has nothing to do with fixing something and has everything to do with seeking answers to one's identity. Okay. The difficult thing about this question is that the easy answer and the hard answer are the exact same answer. God, in all of his love, in all of his wisdom, and in all of his sovereignty, intentionally designed you that way. But DVIC, come on now. If God is loving, why would he intentionally make someone ugly? That's a great question, and that's a fair question. And I'm going to try my very best to try to answer that in truth and love. But first, before I dive into that, I want to ask you a question. What is the most important thing that one can possess or hope for in this life? Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23 reads this. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never thought you were beautiful. Away from me, you evildoers. No, he doesn't say, I never thought you were beautiful. He says, I never knew you. To know God personally, intimately, and passionately is the most important thing in this universe. Matthew 22, 36 and 37 says that when the Pharisees asked Jesus, and I'll read it correctly this time. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. Okay, back to the original question. For someone to ask the question, why am I ugly, is essentially the exact same question as somebody who is beautiful or attractive to our culture's standards asking, why am I beautiful or why am I attractive? For both parties, the root of the question is, why do I look the way that I look, or why am I the way that I am? What's so interesting to me, and this may seem obvious, is that the frequency and the number of times that these questions are searched for online are stark opposite. Why am I beautiful or why am I attractive are almost non-existent. Or if they are searched, in a lot of cases, you'll find posts that are created in generally a joking or sarcastic manner. Whereas why am I ugly seems to be an epidemic on online searches. When searching why am I ugly, I personally tend to find people who are posting under this search at what seems to be a breaking point, authentically seeking an answer that will fill their seemingly empty hearts. Now hear me right. I am not going to sit here and try to convince you that you are beautiful to make you feel better about yourself. First off, I'm not going to do that because beauty in general is very subjective. If you go culture to culture on this planet, what is perceived as beautiful within those cultures can be very different from what you perceive as beautiful or what you hope to be beautiful. Secondly, I'm not going to do that because I am primarily speaking to an American culture. And the American culture tends to value beauty disgustingly disproportionate to things that are actually valuable. I personally believe that the American culture has irresponsibly placed the value of beauty so high that it has literally changed our language to using the word beautiful as a replacement, in many cases, to other words similar to that of valuable. To our lying, insecure, shallow culture, you very well may not be perceived as physically attractive. And I'm sorry if that has been painful. But can I ask you a question? Going back to the why am I ugly being an epidemic on online searches and why am I beautiful being almost non-existent, don't you find it interesting that God, in all of his love, in all of his wisdom, and in all of his sovereignty, would intentionally design you in a way that is seemingly far more prone than someone who is rich in physical beauty to ask questions about who you are and why you don't fit in, because clearly you don't belong here. Thus, in its truest form, leading you to discover that all this time, God, who already knew what was most valuable, in all of his goodness, did indeed design you in a way that did not fit into a lying, insecure, shallow culture so that you can find where you truly belong. Thus, finally discovering that everything else grows strangely dim in light of knowing him. It's funny how quickly we assume God is against us or has somehow shortchanged us. Our lying, insecure, and shallow culture may say that you are ugly. But God, in his perfect goodness, says that he created your inmost being, that he knit you together in your mother's womb, that his thoughts towards you outnumber the grains of sand, and that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Those are just my thoughts. Feel free to message me if you have any questions, or if now you want to send me hate mail, and I would love it if you considered subscribing to support my ministry. I'll see you guys next week.